Hello, back with another VOD review. This is a Diamond 5 Ana player. They mentioned that they got some advice recently around managing their cooldown usage a bit better after they'd requested a previous VOD review. They think that they've worked on that really well and that that's helped them to get from low plat to low diamond, which is great. They think that their new opportunities are ultimate usage and positioning. So we'll have a little bit of a look and see if we can give some advice around those and anything else that's picked up on. I mean, so far so good, I suppose. Feels like you have really high sense. Not sure if you agree with that. I'd be interested to know what your like EDPI is, your effective DPI. But I mean, you can probably play Ana with just about any sense, to be honest. So I guess like we're seeing a bit of like the positioning issues here, because our Ryan takes this fight on the side here, and we don't like react especially well to that. I think Ryan ends up having to give up heaps and heaps of space, but it would also be difficult for you to like make that swing over to here. So realistically, I think like we played a really like safe and conservative angle, which on the one hand is good, but on the other hand maybe means that we couldn't like see half of the things that were going on. So we don't want to like expose ourselves to too many sight lines. In 2020 hindsight, obviously it would have been better if you took this path instead of this path. Generally speaking, when you take this path on Ana, it does give you more opportunities for damage, but it also gives you more opportunities to take damage. Usually if you push this side on Ana, you'll be exposed to less sight lines. Although like you would have been in the Asher sight line, I suppose, if you peek here, just peek from here, you can heal the Ryan, shoot the enemy Ryan, and still probably do a good job of supporting your team. So just something to keep in mind, I suppose. Like if your goal is to like be more aggressive and go for damage, then I guess you take this angle. And if your goal is a bit more conservative, then you might take this side. I think we can probably. I was hoping that we could maybe get a trade then because our Freya was seemingly in, but I think our Freya didn't do much damage, and then you went to heal the Freya instead of shooting. So it looks like we're choosing the right hand side again. I guess like one of the challenges that you're already faced with is like if you do want to pick up this right hand side, like there's a lot of things that can shoot you and hit you from here. Having said that, because most of your team's there, I suppose maybe being over this right hand side is okay for now. So we're peeking back to heal our. Maybe it's not okay, right? Like our team's all dying on the left and we can't see them. I mean, I think you were going for a nade on the Sojourn, and the ram happened to walk in front of you. But like, it's a blessing that the ram happened to catch the nade then, because the nade on the Sojourn wouldn't have done anything. Sojourn was standing here when you threw the nade out. Like, even if they get antied, like, who's gonna follow up on it, right? Like, your Freya's already dead. Your ram is obviously not walking onto that player. The rest of your team can't see them, so I'm not sure. Like, you mentioned in your post like advice around cooldowns. I'm not sure like what the advice was, but that would have been like a waste of a nade realistically. The best outcome that would have come if the nade hit the Sojourn was that the Sojourn plays slightly more passive for the next like 2 or 3 seconds or whatever, but not really like high value from that one, right? We're back to another situation where like the Ryan keeps going back to the right, and so our Ram probably does need to like clear the right. Like it's not possible to just like push this side when there's like a Ryan here and an Ash here who might end up rotating to here. Like in Overwatch, you do need to sometimes like clear sections of the map. So like we really want this section to be clear so that we can go and start pushing towards the point. And I guess the problem with that, as we saw in the first fight and so far in this fight, is that like your capacity to do anything or influence anything over here is low, right? And so you might like try and peek for a little damage or throw an aid on the Sojourn and stuff from here, but it doesn't feel as impactful as like helping to like clear this angle here. If anything, like I would probably like to see like you and the Wu Yang playing on like opposite sides right now, because I think your Wu Yang would do a more meaningful job of poking out the Sojourn playing on this angle, and he can also like obviously like curve around, hit the Ash or whatever if he wants to do that. And then you could have like obviously give better pocket to your Ram as he tries to clear this area, but you'd also be better positioned to like hit the sleep dart, because what it looks like what the Rhine wants to do is bait the Ram in and then charge him. So if you're like already on this side, then you've probably got a better chance of hitting that sleep dart, right? I mean, we might skip ahead a little bit just until you get out of the choke, because I feel like it's going to be the same thing for a while. It feels like because your team's struggling to walk up, you're just going to have to rely on a nano turn to get through. So I think the strategy now is just to build our nano, and hopefully the nano turn works out for us. That's probably another, like, I guess like there's no real problem with throwing the nade there, because you've just had like a player die and another player die. It doesn't really, like, you're not gonna get any more value than that from your nade. But having said that, like, you know, while the Anran got pinned and that's not on you, the Freya has like gone back and like burnt to death, almost burnt to death. I guess she dies to a headshot in the end, like in your line of sight. So I think you're not like reacting very well, and you are pretty locked in on trying to like put pressure out. I guess the good news is that at least the Freya died fast enough to get the same respawn wave as the Anran, so it's not too much of a stagger. You're feeling threatened, so you've moved up to the higher ground. Okay, it looks like we're trying to like make a slightly more aggressive angle, trying to look for some value while our team is respawning. So the problem with going for the angle there is like, how would you secure the kill? Because you don't have nade available, right? When we think about like taking an angle and stuff in Overwatch, like you sort of think about like the idea of you taking a turn. It would be far more impactful if you had have just chilled for like 2 or 3 more seconds and then taken your turn when you had nade available. Because if you can left click nade, left click someone, I mean, there's only like a tiny bit of extra damage that needs to come through for them to die, realistically, right? Whereas like if you go up there with no nade available, unless you like, I don't know, like left click, sleep, left click, like nothing's going to die, right? So maybe just consider like your cooldown situation before you go for that little off angle peek. Cool. We sort of like tempt fate there. So like obviously we want to heal our Wu Yang, right? But I feel like we could just from here we could probably just like jump in the air and then heal the Wu Yang rather than like walk out, because the Sojourn ends up like taking a shot at us here, right? I assume that was aimed at you, and they just missed. It's like slightly risky, you know. Like, what if the Sojourn hit, and what if the Mercy happened to be right clicking the Sojourn instead of the Ash at that point, right? I think you would have gotten your head blown off, yeah. Still, we've got our nano, so we've got our nano timing here. Slap the Rhine. Alright, this is a bit of a bummer, isn't it? So we kind of waste all of our cooldowns again. So I know you mentioned like in your post advice around like not wasting cooldowns and stuff. So like we've got our nade coming up, we've got our sleep coming up. So like we're nading a full health Rhine, who I think, does he block it? Blocks it, right? Because, you know, Anna nade is pretty telegraphed. Same with like Anna sleep dart, right? She like reaches out and fucking throws it over her head and shit. With sleep dart, she like reaches behind her waist and then pulls out the little sleep dart gun and throws it. So like we end up throwing a nade against the shield, and then we end up sleeping the Rhine, but it's hard to see how sleeping the Rhine there would translate to a kill. Like even if he wasn't instantly woken up, right? Even if we suppose that no one instantly wakes him up, like the Rhine sleeping for 2.5 seconds here probably wouldn't be like that impactful. And then like I think your team ends up getting punished as a result of this, because the Bob comes through. Bob lands in a position that's really difficult for most of our team to kite it, because we're all playing so close to it, and we don't have like a sleep dart to like put the Bob down for a few seconds, right? So we take our nano turn, but ultimately it's pointless, because we don't have any like cooldowns to help support that nano turn, right? Like we've wasted both of our cooldowns too early. Did you just use a couple ults? And Mercy ult isn't really especially strong of an ult, so I can see a world in which maybe you're. We're still. I feel like we're still just throwing our cooldowns out for nothing, right? Like, I still have questions around like, I mean, one, we're throwing it directly in front of Orion, and he's blocked it yet again, right? But also, like, I don't know. I guess like if he didn't block it and it hit the Ashe, okay, like the Ashe would die. But it's sort of like throwing it at Orion, who we know has shield available, and we know is standing in front of us and has already demonstrated that he can block our nades. It's sort of like it's the same as just throwing it into a diva, right? Like there's a decent chance it gets eaten. There's a decent chance it gets blocked, right? I feel like maybe we need to be a little bit more picky with our nade timings here. It seems like we also used a sleep dart there at some point. Maybe I wasn't watching enough to see that one come out. Okay, well, fuck that wall in particular, I guess. These are just really low value cooldowns for the most part, right? Even if you like hit a sleep on one of the squishies from here, I struggle to see how that converts into a kill because the Reinhardt doesn't seem like a moron. I'm sure that if he notices that there's like a sleeping player here, he will probably put up his shield. There's also like a Pylon, a Mercy, and an Iliari to pocket them, right? I feel like you're just throwing these things out for nothing, Right. Do we hit the sleep? Thank God. Thank God sleep is available in time. Right, free kill. Well done. Sidestep it. Oh, you're fine. It's actually way too far away from you, isn't it? Not quite fast enough to save the Ram, but it's not the worst thing in the world. It feels like a pretty clear teamfight win. You just need to keep your teammates alive for a few seconds. Cool. Right, let's cap up the point. I think like the biggest impact that you had there, other than just healing your team, was the sleep on the Rhine, because it bought your team a bit more time before the shatter came in, and I think like most of your team except for the Ram was able to dodge it as a result. So that was a really good sleep dart. But I think like again, like we wasted most of our cooldowns. It felt like our rotation moving up was a little bit slow as well, right? Like when the team sort of goes in there. Back. It feels like our Ram gets that ult. He goes in. We sort of do it. I guess maybe our sidestepping helps us to secure the kill on the Mercy though. So maybe Freya would have gotten it anyway, but it feels like we were kind of far away. But it all worked out okay, so I think it's fine. We'll skip ahead. So coming back in, we hit the sleep. All right, so this would be like a higher value nade because it'll stop him from being able to play the game. You will like want to backstep from this pretty soon though, right? Like hit the nade and then walk backwards. Yep, cool. Keep walking backwards, just get behind this car. Yep, that looks good. Cool. Yeah, so I think like good use of your cooldowns and played that well. And I think your positioning overall is good because like you did want to like be on the point to help get as many ticks as possible before the contest came in, and then you did move back to some form of like cover at least, so that's good. Cool. So cart will push out by itself for a few seconds. You'll need to jump on it in just a moment. It's alright, somebody else is actually on it. You do a good job of quick scoping as well. I just want to point that out. Like a lot of Ana reviews, even in like Diamond, I find like end up getting like just like hard scoping a lot of the time, whereas you're reasonably like on the spot with that. What the fuck happened to your DPS? I was about to say it's not on you because like she was the Freya in particular just kept walking up with low health, but then you did have sort of like a brain shutdown moment for for like a good couple of seconds here where you just like stopped. Like after the reload, you just like didn't shoot again for quite a while. You probably could have saved one of the 2 DPS, but maybe it wouldn't have mattered in the long run. I think this ult turn coming through from them when you have no cleanse other than your Enran self cleanse feels tough to get through. We've got a nano turn coming up. We've got a nano annihilation turn coming up actually. And they don't yet have a big ult to shut it down. But it would be really important that like you're thinking about ults. So like the last time we saw a Bob come out was like when the Bob got thrown against here, right? So we would probably be expecting that they would more or less have a Bob by now, right? If you're doing like reasonable ult tracking. With how much swings the Rhine got in here as well, it would be fair to assume that he's probably getting pretty close to a shatter. So we really want to be holding our sleep dart here to try and shut down anything that's going to make our like nano annihilation turn more challenging. And Bob would be one of the key things that would do that, because it would maybe cut off the ram from the rest of the team. Also of note, I haven't seen you just like throw out a cooldown for nothing for a little while as well, which feels nice. I think our positioning here is like safe and sound, which is good. Like we obviously have no health, so we don't want to get too aggressive. I feel like we probably so we go for the sleep dart there, which feels a bit more reasonable than most of the other ones, because the ram is pushing up and zoning off the rest of the team, and Ryan is inside of our team. I would potentially be looking at trying to nano whoever's knocked down here. So I would be nanoing your Freya already. So we're just throwing yet another nade into the abyss, into the Reinhardt shield. Yeah, so that's tough. I think like, you know, we talked about like you need to be saving sleep dart for something that can shut down or make the nano annihilation turn difficult. We never end up nanoing him, but he still annihilations, and he moves up and he creates a fair bit of space, right? But the problem is like obviously the Rhine then hits like a multi-person shatter and forces everyone back. I think if you weren't like able to nano the ram in time, which seems weird that you couldn't do that, because I feel like he was in like nano boost range for the majority of this team fight. Like even just before he swings there, like I probably, like if we're pushing tab and we know that he has nano, I feel like we would just nano him, right? But at this point it's too late. You know, I can sort of understand the idea behind the sleep dart, as I said, but it's a little bit unfortunate because then the shadow comes through. But I mean, I probably would have just nanoed the Freya here, because Freya also has ult. If she can get an updraft and get around and support this annihilation, she can probably just wipe people, potentially even without using her ult, to be honest. Like just the extra 50% damage from the bolt would be good. I also think it's like pretty weird that you would like choose to like walk directly into the Rhine there, but ultimately I think like the reason this whole situation went so bad is, one, you didn't get the right timing on the nano for the ram to actually walk up, because I mean he pushed back 4 players, right? But then the Rhine is also pushed back 4 players, and I think you had some power there to make both of those things better, right? By hitting the nano on the Rhine and then saving sleep dart to actually sleep him during the shatter animation, right? It's especially at the range that you were playing from, like here to here, actually not very hard to hit that sleep dart timing. Like Ryan has a bit of a wind up on his ult, right? But this feels cooked, so we'll just skip ahead, obviously. We've held our nano for so long that we've got the full charge on it. Alright, I mean this feels like a really bad Sojourn ult. We just de-peek this and we're good. Just wait like 10 seconds and we're totally fine. Cool, we hit the sleep. What's our decision making here? So obviously we don't trust our team to not wake up the Bob, which is a bit of a shame. The nano timing was weird. Like it, I guess sometimes like you do that because like you just want your tank to walk forwards and stuff, but like a third of the, maybe not a third, like a quarter of the nano is expended by the time he like engages, which we don't feel good about. Whereas like again, if we go back to the situation where the ram was here, like the ram was already engaging, so like you would have been better off hitting the nano there, right? Whereas when someone's like around the corner, you know, you nano him and he's like, oh, I've been nanoed. Okay, I guess I better like go in and charge and do something, right? Like we really want to try and find that timing on people that are already engaging and not like waiting to engage. It's also unfortunate that we missed the nade there, but you had the right idea of trying to nade the low health player. The Bob once again zoned off your team. So realistically, because your team was going to wake him up, not safe for you to play around here, and it's not possible for you and the team to walk through because like there's just too many enemies there. Like you guys will just get beamed down realistically, and then the Bob will wake up and shoot you in the back. So I mean realistically, like Bob is good for creating space and zoning like that. You did the right thing though by hitting the sleep dart. Right, we just want to live here. No problem going for the sleep dart if it's maybe going to save your life. Keep moving back to cover, keep moving back to cover, keep moving back to cover. Never mind, Freya just wins the 1v1. Wu Yang says, fuck it, I'll do it myself. Alright, we've got a sleep dart available. Okay, fuck that wall in particular. I am noticing a trend that you seem very aware of the tank positions, but not so much of like your DPS. If we go back a little bit here, like, you know, we see your Freya low health as she flies across your screen, then you do try and trade out against the Ashe. You heal the support, which is great. There's no acknowledgement of the Freya, and instead you just like look for the next damage shot. Only now do we turn to hit the Freya. Through here, obviously we completely whiff our sleep dart onto the Iliari, but it feels like a really low percentage sleep dart anyway. We don't seem to really, I don't know, it feels like we don't really look for the Anran heal here. Like she peeks us a few times, right? I think the Freya must have gone in from high ground. We see her there. We see her again there. We can still see her on our screen. So like maybe the Anran not getting a heal and having to go for the mini is fair, but like I do have questions around why you kept playing this angle where you couldn't see the Freya instead of just walking slightly to your left to get that sightline on the Freya, right? Because you probably only needed to walk to here to do it. And I feel like, you know, we kind of just spend time healing our Reinhardt, who's like 95% health. We again throw a nade at a Reinhardt. This time he doesn't block it. I think, you know, he's blocked it every other time except when he slept him, right? And then we're just way too slow to like help our Freya. Positioning wise, I mean, like you're safe and sound here, but you could also have been safe and sound if you just step slightly to the side. I think, like, you know, maybe Reinhardt step slightly to the side for you as well. If not, you can always just like shift to this angle and use this for cover, right? Cool, good nade. Threw it with the pin, which makes sense. That should buy you a bit of space. Alright, can we look at our Anran now? Our Anran might need help getting out. No, she's fine actually. Meet the dynamite, but that's okay. Ryan fucks that up. Can he hit the sleep? He can, cool. Fortunately, he gets instantly awakened. Mercy beams us down. Alright, team's still in it. We've got Nano. We've just traded DPS. That feels fine. Another low value nade. So Orion's in there, which is cool, but it's going to be really hard for you and the Moira to clear this Reinhardt off the point, right? Ryan comes back, and so there Ryan dies, which is good. You help deny the res. I mean, most of this looks really good. I think like if we go back a little bit, like when I was talking about like hitting like the right nano timing, your Ryan is actually like charging as you nano, or yeah, he's still charging when you nano. So it's like significantly more value than the other one back here, where the Ryan was like behind a wall, like waiting to engage, right? So we want to get that nano timing on the engage, which you did here, which is great. I don't really like agree with the idea of like let's like walk into melee range with the Rhine, because I feel like that's a trade that you can potentially lose, but it works out totally fine because in the end I suppose the Rhine is too scared to drop his shield, so he doesn't like try and hit you with a fire strike and then a melee or two to kill you, so works out good. Generally speaking, I wouldn't advocate walking into melee range of a Rhine though. Cool. Let's go for the nade timing as well. Nice. Easy. Let's just de-peek this. It's going to be difficult. I would almost suggest that you like walk forwards at this stage, because it's a long way to cover to the right. It's a long way to cover to the left. Potentially, if you just like walk towards the cart, you can block line of sight by doing that. We'll see what you end up doing. You really don't want to die here. It's all right. She doesn't go for the follow-up shot on you. It's all good. I wonder why not. For my own curiosity, why didn't she kill you then? She changed targets. That's a bit of luck for you, I think. But anyways, whatever. We're happy with that. Alright, took the fade, so no one's been hit by Sunstrike, which is good. Need to look at our Anran, need to look at our Anran, need to look at our Anran, need to look at our Anran. To look at our Anran, need to look at our Anran. Oof. That's lucky the Anran doesn't die. Wait, are you still not going to heal it? We need to maybe give our DPS just a little bit more help and consideration. I think, all things considered, it's probably more valuable to keep your DPS player alive than to kill the pylon. It works out, I suppose, but I could definitely see how it would not work out. So we've got our sleep dart now. What do we do with it? We try and sleep the tracer in the air. Bob comes out. Bob is at least extremely kiteable for our team. Having said that, your Anran has just ulted in. You're probably going to need to risk just a little bit of Bob damage just to like try and peak this Anran for like a single heal maybe, because we don't know how many cooldowns our Anran has available right now. Yeah, no luck. Probably not savable anyway, if we're being honest, but it is another one of these situations where like, okay, the Bob is like actually super kiteable for everyone on your team. Anran probably shouldn't have invested their ult and just fed like that. But if we're holding our sleep dart for high value, if we're not going for the mid-air sleep on a blinking tracer, and if we're paying more attention to Bobs, because, like how long since the last Bob, right? The last Bob was the one that got thrown down here and ended up like right here when you slept it, right? That was a while ago. We've got to assume that the Ashe probably has Bob again. Sleep is one of the best tools against the Bob. Again, we're seemingly throwing out some of these cooldowns a bit willy-nilly and needing to look for slightly more value. Our DPS trades, which is good, and they're also off of the Mercy, so there's no res. I think you should just focus on dueling the Tracer right now. Miss the sleep. Miss the nade. It feels disrespectful towards the Tracer, right here, that you see her and you choose to like ignore her for an extended period of time. We once again sleep a wall, which is a bit of a shame. So I think we can work in our sleep dart accuracy a bit in like an aim trainer or something like that maybe. Miss the nade here. But like really I think you needed to like square up and duel this Tracer a little bit. If you can just get the tracer off you, then you'll be free to like do whatever else you want to do. Our team dies around us and we sort of end up having to like retreat into a small room. Team does a desperation re-engage with ults. You're going for damage, you have a low health Freya above you. She's regenning at least. This feels like a position that it's impossible for you to generate value from. Once you had fallen back to here, I think you should just stay at around this position, right? Like going back into the small room, like how do you like generate any value from shooting anything? You have to like walk to the doorway, right? Whereas if you played from around here, you probably could give some pocket to the Freya that was up here or still is up here, right? But I'm not sure that you ever had like conscious awareness of the fact that the Freya was still in the fight and still above you, because she's hit a bolt by the looks of it. She might be able to hit a second bolt, just needs a little bit of pocket, and Rand should be able to get a touch here. Get pinned. We get pinned. Okay, again with just like throw our sleep dart out just for the thrill of it. I think like I don't like don't know what we're doing with that one. Assume that that's the end of the push. All right, let's just watch. Maybe like what I want to do is watch the first fight on the first point and maybe one fight on the second point, and then we'll wrap it up. Positioning isn't like a key issue for you on this map. Having said that, it is King's Row. So I think positioning on like King's Row is really like straightforward, a lot like it is on like Circuit Royale, right? Because although like this is technically still like a 3-lane map, if we think about like the map design philosophy of Overwatch, most maps diverge into 3 lanes at some point. So middle lane, right lane, and then left lane, right? And then same at like this part, right? You got middle lane, left lane, right lane, and so on. On King's Row, like 90% of the action happens in the middle lane, unlike, maps like Ilios or like Lijiang or Dorado and stuff, where it can be a bit more like spread out and fights can happen in different places. So positioning is really straightforward on this map for the most part. With your comp, I would like strongly advocate that you start on the high ground. It looks like you're going to do that. No, okay. So I would almost always default to the high ground on Ana here. If you end up feeling like their comp doesn't facilitate you being on the high ground, let's say they have like a Doomfist or a Diva plus like a Genji or something that can easily access you and isolate you and kill you, you can always drop down to the team. But the good thing about starting on the high ground here as Ana is like, as opposed to being on the low ground, like if you start on the high ground, you can always drop down. If you start on the low ground, it's a super long rotation for you to like get to the high ground, right? So it makes sense to start up there and then just survey the area. While your team is playing from this position, you can play really safe here, right? You can still do damage to anyone that peeks this angle. If your team starts pushing up, I suppose you can always drop down and walk with them. If your team starts backing up, you can always rotate to this angle here. And if your team backs up even more, you can always rotate to this angle here for like a retake situation. And if your team pushes up and you don't feel like dropping down, you can potentially rotate over to here, but it's usually like not the best angle, right? So usually you're playing one of these 3 or you end up dropping down. One more tiny little thing, which like a lot of the time people will do is on the initial spawn as Ana, you might like take this path to take the high ground, just in case there is like a Widowmaker or something like that. If they see you come up here, then maybe they'll like ping that or communicate that to the team and it's on the high ground, and that might prompt them to actually play like the Doomfist or some sort of dive character that can access you easily. Because like if they don't have anything that can access you, you're like so incredibly powerful up on these positions, right? You just need your team to understand that you're on that position, and that ideally you don't want your team to push around this corner where you don't have line of sight. Anyway, let's see how you go.
Come now, Doctor. I was only hoping to lend a hand.
So I think we're aiming at the tracer there, but we end up hitting our Ryan, so that's fair, I guess. Doomfist is in. We go for the instant sleep. I think like definitely one of the key points is going to be like trying to hold our sleep dart for the right moment there. If he had have gone in and started blocking, then absolutely sleep him, right? But now we don't have sleep dart for his actual engagement, which is this one here. So maybe it doesn't feel like that good to have used the sleep dart early on, right? We get one trade, but it looks pretty cooked. I think the Mercy's probably also going to get the res off there. So unfortunately, that's our one fight on first point. We'll go on to this one now. Yeah, it's a tough one for you. It's not a favourable duel, that's for sure. You really need your Ashe to look up and mark that one. I think you're smart in not like peeking it too aggressively and taking that angle. I can't hear her on the right side yet. Right, you've seen her, you peeked her. Bummer, Ashe lost the fight. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to probably go for the sleep about then anyway, because I think once you're knocked into the wall, even if he doesn't end up killing you, obviously you knock back into the Widow, make his line of sight, just because you haven't really had an actual team fight yet. I know I said once on first point and once on second point, but we'll maybe see if we can watch one actual team fight. Not this one, because his sports just died. Right, it feels like we're pretty far up, given that our Moira only just got back. And then we've also tried to sleep dart him in the air again. I haven't seen you hit one of these air shots so far. Again, maybe there's a bit more value in waiting until he lands and then going after that, right? We also like, why would we? I don't know why he would fucking use his ult then, but why would you be focusing on anti-ing him instead of like a defensive nade on yourself? He's full health. What does he care if he gets antied? I'm pretty sure he didn't ult because he got antied. I'm pretty sure he ulted just because he wants to like land on your head. But either way, it's a terrible ult from him, but a really bad nade from you. At least you kite out the next one, but you are kind of in no man's land right now with no cooldowns. Still living. Goes for you again. You decide to peek him. Yeah, if we can hear him charging punch, which we can hear him charging punch there, right? We probably just don't peek the corner, right? If you just stay against this wall here, he cannot hit you with the punch. Like, I don't believe that there's like doom tech that's going to enable him to like curve the punch like that, right? But you decided to peek him, and so you just presented yourself as an easy target. Fucking hell, we still haven't watched a team fight. Maybe it's just going to be like this the whole way through. Yamori's dead, so it's not this team fight either. Although it looks like we're going to use a nano, so we'll just watch it. We'll play it out. So we get back. What else is going on? Is there anyone else? So we're the only person that died in our respawn wave. All right, our Mei is pretty deep. Cool. Just figuring out what's going on. Let's have a quick look. Alright, some more ults. Gets her ult cancelled by the Doomfist punch. Classic. Alright, we've used a second support ult. We've yeeted our nade once again. I'm just waiting for you to try and sleep dart this Iliari. There it fucking is. I knew it was coming. I think we're 0 for 7 on mid-air sleep dart so far. So actually I think like the nano in principle, it ticks some of the criteria, okay? Like the Orisa was already walking forwards inside of the enemy team. Difficult for the Orisa to like get like huge value there, but that's just because of like the nature of the enemy team, where like, you know, the closest targets to them are a Pharah, a Doomfist, and a Bastion that's in turret form. So even with the nano, the Orisa doesn't necessarily want to challenge the Bastion in turret form. The Pharah is too mobile, the Doomfist is too mobile. So it's not horrifically bad nano, but it's obviously not a good nano either. And ideally, we probably don't want to invest too many ults in a 4v5 situation, right? With our Moira having just died, we've used 2 support ults in a fight that I would imagine that your team is going to lose. So that doesn't feel great, right? But you know, we hit the nano, we threw out another like 0 value long range nade that hits nothing. We go for our 7th unsuccessful mid-air sleep dart, right? I think if we want to invest in nano there, then we need to maybe just spend like half an extra second figuring out what's happening in the game.
You're powered up. Get in there.
Surely, hang on, my sound's really low, so I'm just going to put it up to like normal. Because I feel like surely you would have been aware that the Bastion was in turret form. Yeah, I can hear it clear as day when the sound's not like 1/5 of what it usually is, not 77. Fuck. So like we probably don't want to like nano our tank into a Bastion in turret form, because there's not many tanks in the game that can stand up to that, other than maybe like a D.Va.
I've got you.
And then I assume that we struggle a bit for the rest of this fight. Actually, maybe we end up winning it. Arista gets a nice ult off and we manage to interrupt the res. Alright, cool. I think we'll still wrap it up. So maybe the nano works out okay in the end. I suppose not. I mean, yeah, not really, right? Because all the Orisa did with your nano boost was walk backwards. Like you nanoed the Orisa here, and then the nano ended with the Orisa back here, and 0 kills on the board at that stage. So maybe not a good nano. I think like advice is going to be consistent with the advice that you got from your other VOD reviews, that you seem to just be throwing out your cooldowns for like really low percentage sleep darts, low value nades that, you know, are difficult, first of all, to hit because you're throwing it against a Reinhardt who's looking at you. But secondly, like even the ones that weren't necessarily against a Reinhardt that's looking at you, like the attempt to nano the Sojourn that was standing here, it's like, how does that convert into value for your team though? Like who's going to follow up on that Sojourn kill? Do you know what I mean? Like who's following up on a lot of these nades that you throw out? And I think the answer is like a lot of the time no one. Like the best nades that you did were on either Reinhardts that were sleeping or Reinhardts that were being charged by your Reinhardt. I think almost every other nade was poor, and even like poor nade decisions, like when you're getting chased by the Doomfist here and you decide to nade the full health Doomfist instead of like nading yourself to help you live better. I think in terms of positioning, like your positioning isn't terrible in the context of you're standing out in the open dying. Like you're actually in like positions of cover for the most part, except for when you peeked the Doomfist punch before. But you're playing from positions of cover where you maybe don't have like the meaningful enough angle. Like I think every single team fight, you on attack you went this way on Ana, right? And I feel like none of them converted into like huge value, even when your team did push up and take it. I feel like the best thing that you did for the actual successful point attack was just sleep the Rhine mid-charge when he was trying to shut down your March result. But I think like positioning tips for you would be more like making sure that you actually like have line of sight or at least awareness of your DPS as well. Like, you know, like the Freya dying here, the Freya dying like on the 3rd point attack when you were like playing under here, I think is like symptoms of one, like not understanding where you can take an angle from, but also just not being aware enough of where your teammates are and being able to support your teammates. I do wonder, like, if you gave that Freya more pocket and maybe if you were able to help her with the Genji fight, like, would it have gone differently for you? I'm going to say it might have gone differently, especially because playing in here just resulted in you getting pinned by a Reinhardt, right? So we don't necessarily want to be like standing here with a Reinhardt standing here. Okay, like this is not our effective range, but it's pretty close to the Reinhardt's effective range, right? So I sort of would have been more interested maybe if you feel like positioning is a weakness for you. That's probably the advice I have for you on this map in particular, just because as I said before, it's so linear. It's like it's pretty straightforward where to like stand a lot of the time as Ana, right? And like your positioning right now is okay. Like presumably you would start walking up because your team's gotten kills. Actually, you're pretty slow on the walk up. But realistically, yeah, it's not too hard to like position relatively well on King's Row. Like maybe there's other maps, like wider, opener maps, where you might struggle with it more. So yeah, to recap, cooldown usage still your number one thing. So looking for more value, trying to say sleep dart both for easier sleeps to hit, but also think about like what do you actually need to shut down on the enemy team to enable your team to succeed. So bobs and Reinhardt shatters and that sort of thing. Number two, more awareness of your teammates, in particular DPS, and trying to maintain angles that you can see your DPS as well as your tank, ideally. And three, for nano boosts, try and ensure that you are nano boosting and engage, and not like a waiting to engage or like a disengage situation. So like, again, the one over here, waiting to engage situation. The one where your Reinhardt was charging through here, engage situation, won the team fight. The one on the Orisa here, disengage situation, because the Orisa doesn't want to walk forwards into the damage boosted Bastion in turret form, right? It doesn't matter if he's nanoed, he still doesn't want to do it. So ultimately we press Q only to have our Orisa walk backwards, because she knows that she can't like win that, right? So if you can focus on those three things, hopefully you'll not just get from diamond, from plat to diamond, but maybe diamond to masters. Good luck.